All right, so I am not good at 3D modeling. I've been trying to get better recently, but I'm garbage. I'm buns, really. And I feel like the reason why I am this way is because I get caught up in tutorials and I feel like I don't have a direction as far as like what I want to create goes. And I'm trying to figure out like what to do to fix that. And I've been using Blender, Shaper 3D, and Nomad Sculpt for the past 1 to 2 years on about all of them. And I feel like I've been able to do a lot of cool things, but they're one offs. Like, I don't really do a lot of things that have anything to do with each other again. So everything that I've made is always just like this one random time that I did that thing. As far as Blender goes, it's a free application that you can use on Windows or on Apple's Mac OS, and it's really good. It's a very, very easily obtainable and usable application, and there's a lot of resources for you once you start using it. This app is so free and so available that a 14-year-old was able to use it and create an animation sequence in a feature length Sony animated film. If you haven't seen Across the Spider Verse, there's a scene in the Spider Man movie where there's a Lego Spider Man, and the entire Lego Spider Man sequence was animated by a 14-year-old at the time. um, I also use Shaper 3D, and Shaper 3D is free to use up to a point. There's like more deluxe or more premium features available on a fuller version of this. Well, it's a fuller version of this application, but you have to have a subscription. Or if you're a student, you can use your student login and your student email, and you can get access to all of the features for free, which is great because it's a really helpful application that is available on Mac OS, Windows OS, and the iPad operating system. And the workflow for the iPad is just phenomenal. It's really easy to use, and I have a lot of fun and a lot of ease whenever I am using it. I also use Nomad Sculpt, and Nomad Sculpt is great. It is fantastic, a fantastic sculpting app, very robust. Um, it was $35 in total is how much I spent on the application. I'm not sure what it was. There was it was either $20 to buy the app or it was $14 to buy the app. And there's one add-on in the app that's 14 or $20. I don't know. It's interchangeable, whatever the numbers that I'm saying are. All right, so this might seem odd, but one of my gripes about 3D modeling and Blender specifically is the sheer number of tutorials that you can find. And this kind of seems crazy, right? Having the information should be a good thing, but at least for me, I think I get lost in all of the tutorials. I get lost in all the information. I feel like I need to know everything before I do anything, and I feel like that keeps me from doing anything because I don't know how to do everything. And uh, you know, uh, in general, I think the best thing to do, or at least how I feel about it now, is that um, after you do one tutorial and you understand the basics of the application, and when I say that, I mean like being able to move an object in the area or in the space, being able to stretch it in one direction on one axis or in another direction on another axis. I feel like that's kind of like the most important thing that you can know how to do. Um, it's very basic, but you can do a lot with very basic, maneuverability and transformations. Um, and learning how to do those just from the get go, just very basic skills go a long way in this application or in any application really. So one thing about me is I'm an engineer, so apps like Shaper 3D are a lot more, usable for me. Um, the thing about Shaper 3D is everything is measured. Every action you take is taken on the basis of changing a measurement, whether it be changing something's length or changing an angle on a curve or anything like that. It's very procedural, very mathematic, and that's kind of easy for my engineering brain to follow. uh Apps like Blender are vertex based, I think, or I'm not really sure what to call them. I think there's a name for it and I forgot what it was, but there's a specific name for the type of apps that Shaper 3D are versus the type that Blender is. So Shaper 3D is obviously a CAD model software, computer aided design, and it's fantastic. But you know, an app like Blender, where you're focusing more on detail and topology, is not as friendly for me because that's the type of stuff that I get lost in and doesn't feel as important to me. As long as I have a shape and I'm able to like maintain like the integrity of a shape and transform it how I need to, that's really all I need to do. You can kind of do the same things in Blender. It's just, more so through add-ons, but I don't know. It's just not the same. You can kind of get it there, but it'll never be a CAD modeling software. But yeah, so like I said, the sheer number of tutorials kind of gets me lost. The overwhelming amount of information that's available and the amount of things I could actually do in an app like Blender is so overwhelming that I just don't end up doing it. I don't end up doing anything. And I have gone through a bunch of tutorials in Blender from YouTube, and I don't feel like I've actually like retained any information. And because of that, I don't feel like I've actually done anything. Like, what have I actually done in Blender? And the answer to that is a lot, but nothing at the same time. I feel like everything that I've done in Blender or every project in general I've done has no correlation to one another, and because of that, I feel like I've done like a assortment of just random nothingness. It just doesn't feel like I'm actually doing anything, and I've done a lot of projects. But without there being some sort of subject matter or focus, it kind of ends up feeling like a big mess. Like I'm working on a bunch of just garbage. And I don't want to feel like that. I kind of want to get a better portfolio or a better like area of focus. Maybe not permanently, but at least for long enough to have like a body of work or multiple bodies of work where I could just be like, okay, yeah, I can tell what this was like as far as like a phase in my life goes. It's like I was doing all these things and I felt this way about them, or I don't know. I don't maybe I'm just kind of tripping out about this little detail, but like my biggest parts for 3D modeling is, being way too overwhelmed by how much that I can do and not knowing what to do because of that. So it's kind of like they go hand in hand with one another, but it's mainly just me being overwhelmed, to be honest. And I recently did a little test for myself because I do want to get better at 3D modeling, and I do use all these apps, and I kind of want to move away from using Shaper 3D and not Blender and Nomad Sculpt, because Blender is just the thing that I need to be using for lighting, texturing, modeling, animation. It's just everything is there. So I should probably just start using it a little bit more. I won't completely stop using the other ones because sometimes I can do some stuff really quickly in Shaper 3D, and then maybe if I get good at retopology, I'll be able to just do some retopology, and I could work from there. But yeah, I ended up doing this little project where I made BMO from Adventure Time, and I was basically just trying to test to just make sure that I had the ability to make and create basic shapes in these applications that I use. And for the most part, I was able to do that fairly easily. Um, my BMO and Shaper 3D came out the best, and I think it's mainly because of the ability to add textures to things in a very simple and easy way. Everything in there is pretty much a preset, so I don't really have to worry about a lot. The limited number of options kind of helped me just drag and drop something and just be okay with whatever the result was, and maybe change it to something that I think is slightly better. But for the most part, Shaper 3D was the easiest for me to do this. But the limitations for Shaper 3D are some shapes are just not, something that can be created. Like there's some irregular shapes for meshes that just don't work in Shaper 3D. Like there's no natural way to create some of the shapes that I might need. An example of this is I tried to create the portal gun from Portal 2, and I couldn't get like the shell sort of thing that's around the gun, and there's like no natural way that I could come up with or think of to create that shape. So I kind of had to abandon that project. But this is kind of just a small rant sort of video. I didn't really have any specific plans on, you know, where I was gonna go with this video. I just kind of wanted to, you know, mark or state what I feel like my issues are with 3D modeling before I start moving on to newer projects and trying to get better. At the very least, if I follow through in the way that I want to, I'll be able to look back and see where I was whenever I started, or whenever I started to make like a major change in how I approach all this. But yeah, I was a little bit, conflicted on making this video in the first place because I didn't know what style to make it. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do or for what purpose that I wanted to do this for. But I kind of just want to have like a time capsule sort of. Um, I kind of want to just have like a time capsule sort of like mark for where I was, all that, because there's so much that I want to do. It's just so overwhelming. But um, I kind of feel like maybe it's ADHD or something. But anyway, I'm gonna uh I'm gonna start working on newer things. So whenever I get there, I'll get there. If you are interested in following my journey, please subscribe and like and tell me what you think your issues are in Blender if you use Blender, or if you don't and you're just kind of here for whatever reason. Um yeah, you should watch along. Hopefully the next video I do is something cool and it is like me leveling up in some way or something. But yeah,